table. Good evening. Let me try that again. Good evening.
Good evening.
Welcome. We want to welcome all of you here tonight. I know a lot of you guys have had the experience, especially the students come down here in the auditorium, but tonight we're going to be talking a little about the class of 2022, and then the high school, their academic plan for the next 4 years, and for some of you, 5 years. That's not a slight on any of you, and the counselors, the two smart gentlemen to my left, will talk about that throughout the evening. I am Joe Passalacqua. I'm the high school principal here. Very proud of what we have going on. Excited to see a lot of you here tonight, so thank you very much. To my left, the two gentlemen who are a lot smarter than I, who will be running this evening, Mr. Brian Ross, one of our counselors, Mr. Ryan Huber, one of the other counselors here at the high school. Ms. Gauthier, our assistant principal, is out and about. We've been, as you guys know, with parent-teacher conferences, we have wrestling meets going on, so it's a pretty busy evening, but we want to thank you guys for taking the time to come out here tonight to hear a little bit about your son or daughter's next 4 or 5 years. So without further ado, again, I brought in the smart people to do all the talking to kind of educate you a little bit about the next 4 years and what to expect. So without further ado, I'm going to turn this over right away to Mr. Ross, one of our counselors here at the high school.
Thank you.
Just so you can get some names, because these are names you'll need to be familiar with down the road. Obviously, Mr. Passalacqua and Ms. Gauthier is the assistant principal. She also works a little bit with the dual enrollment stuff, so if your child down the road, your son or daughter wants to take some college courses, she may be working with them. I will be working with a lot of the early college students, the dual enrollment students, and Mr. Huber will focus a lot on the 9th, 10th, and 11th grade students. But that doesn't mean that either one of us can't help out with any student who feels most comfortable with one of us. Okay, overall requirements. In order to graduate from Shepherd School or any school in the state of Michigan, there's the Michigan Merit Curriculum. And you have to earn these credits in order to get a diploma. If you fail one of these classes, you have to go back and retake it until you earn the credit. There is no just moving on and getting a diploma. Those credits break down as follows. You need 4 credits of English. You need 4 credits of mathematics. We'll talk about what that looks like in a moment. 3 credits of social studies. 3 science credits, and that means it has to be at least a credit of biology, and it has to be at least a credit of either chemistry or physics. Okay? That's quite a bit different than when some of us were in school. They need PE or health. The PE, they can exempt out of that by participating in high school athletics, team sport, or marching band. They would also qualify for the PE credit. Fine or applied arts, that includes visual arts, band, chorus, metalworking, woodworking, even some of the Career Tech Center classes up in Mount Pleasant or down in Alma also can qualify for that. And then foreign language. The foreign language is 2 years worth. Most students at Shepherd take it in the 8th grade. If you successfully complete that, you will get one of 2 things. You will either get a credit on the high school transcript if you met the high school standards and proved that you understood the material. If you didn't quite get to that point, but you still participated in the class and kept up, you can get an experience. By the state standards, you need 2 years of grade level equivalency. So either way, you're going to get 1 grade level equivalency after 8th grade, unless you absolutely fail it. Now, for those who get credit for high school and goes on transcript, they can go on to Spanish 2 in high school to fulfill that 2nd credit. The other students who got some experience in 8th grade but maybe didn't master the content enough to get high school credit can go on and take Spanish 1 at the high school level and get that 2nd year's equivalency. Now, students can make another option if they don't want to do 2 years of foreign language. They can do a complete year of career tech education, like welding, nursing, those things, and then they don't have to take the 2nd credit. Or they can do an extra credit of fine or applied arts and they do not have to take it. For example, if you're a band student and you're in band, you could say, well, I'll just do the 1 year of foreign language in 8th grade, be complete with it. That will come to an end after this graduating class unless the state acts on that and extends some laws. But that should come to an end after you guys come through. Okay? Total credits at Shepherd High School to graduate is 27.5. You have an opportunity to earn 30 credits. So there is some leeway there where if you have some struggles, you can still graduate, but you have to get through the core classes. There's no way around that. But some of the electives, there are some options. We will be meeting with all 8th graders next week in your Spanish class. Is that Miss Permuca? Okay. We are going to go in there and guide you through doing some EDPs, which stands for Educational Development Plan. We'll talk to you about what 4 years of high school will look like. We will plan and help you pick your classes for next school year. Now, parents, you get a say in this, of course. What I encourage you to do after next week is ask your son or daughter to show you their EDP. And then you can look over their course selections and you can make changes at any time. At the end of the month, though, we're going to lock it in and I will tell them, hey, you need to finalize your choices for classes, and I will pull those and they will become the request in Power School for next year. Okay? So students, you need to make sure you show your parents what you're signing up for and communicate with them. All right, English is pretty simple here at Shepherd. 9th graders take English 9, sophomores take English 10, then English 11. Your senior year, you get a choice. You can either do English 12, or you can choose to dual enroll. Dual enrollment means you're taking a college course while in high school, and you can earn both high school and college credit for it. Okay? But the demand is going to be collegiate. It's a college level course. But taking dual enrollment English 111 and 112 actually counts and meets the same standards as English 12A and B. So your son or daughter has a choice come their senior year. Science is pretty basic. Our 9th graders will all take physical science. They will go on their sophomore year and take biology, and then chemistry their junior year. Now many of them, if they're interested in the science field, or they want to go into a career that could use the science, they can take physics or a dual enrollment science class their senior year. Okay? We have actually quite a few students taking a biology and chemistry class up at mid, and they block out a whole section at 7:30 a.m. for mostly just Shepherd students, and a few Sacred Heart students jump in there as well. Social studies, all 9th graders take world studies. We have a fantastic teacher, Mr. Hallowell. If you don't know him, you're going to love him, and you're going to learn a lot from him. So you guys should be pretty excited about that. Your sophomore year, you'll take U.S. history. That's Mrs. Wolf. She was Michigan Social Studies Teacher of the Year a few years back. We got some really good teachers, and the students are going to love it. You're going to get to your junior year, and you're going to have a guy that's going to really challenge you to think in-depthly in civics and econ. It's a tough course. You're going to learn a ton. And then your senior year, hopefully you explore some electives, and we have quite a few social studies electives. Mathematics. Show of hands. How many of you are taking Algebra 1 right now in 8th grade? Okay, quite a few of you. You will go on, if you successfully complete this year, you will get 1 credit for your high school transcript. You'll get high school credit for that. And then next year, you'll go on and you will take geometry your 9th grade year. Most students who are in the 8th grade are taking an 8th grade level math, and they will go on next year to take Algebra 1. And we do have a student who I think has already taken Algebra 1, is taking geometry right now. We won't point that person out, but good job. That person will go on and take Algebra 2 next year. Okay? You can see the sequence there. When you complete the basic courses of Algebra 1, Geometry, and Algebra 2, you then have the option to go to an upper level math course if you want to and take dual enrollment. And you have many courses. You could take statistics, you could take pre-calc, or you could take Calculus 1. at college level and get college credit for it. It's taught right here at Shepherd campus out in the Laidley building. It's the little building around the corner. It's got 4 classrooms in it. And our dual enrollment courses are held out there. Trimester scheduling. Middle school has trimester scheduling, but it's a little different. How many courses do you guys have in one day? 6. Well, when you get in high school, you're only going to have 5. There's some good things with that. One is it's a less number of classes to worry about at any one point in time. The classes are a little bit longer. Yours are probably about 60 minutes, an hour, roughly. Ours in the high school are about 73 minutes. So if you're doing a science lab, you're going to have more time to get it done. But here's something that's a little different. In your core classes, you only have to take the class for 2 out of the 3 trimesters to get a full credit. So you might have English in first trimester and the 3rd trimester, but not in the 2nd. You might have science in the 2nd and 3rd trimester, but not have it in the fall. It's okay. You're going to cover the same amount of standards and the same material in that time period. And we're not the only school that does this. Ithaca, Elma, Mount Pleasant. The biggest schools in our RESD and us all do the same format. Okay? It's been successful, and we find it to be the best for our students. And I think you guys, when you get there, you'll learn to like it. The day will go fast, and you only have 5 classes to focus on. Here's the next good thing. You switch classes every sports season. You get a fresh start. And you get new teachers, and you mix it up. It's a good fresh start for students, and I think it'll be good for you. Oh, let's talk credits. Every single class you take here in the high school, for one period, you get a half credit if you successfully pass it. Students, get ready to do some math. You have 5 classes a day. You get a half credit for each. How many credits can you earn in first trimester? 2.5. 2.5. 10 extra credit points for you. Okay, it's up on the board, right?
Oh, I didn't even read it.
They didn't know. All right. If you have 2.5 credits each trimester and you have 3 trimesters, how many credits can you earn in a year? 7.5. Well, if you're on the 4-year plan, how many credits could you earn total? 30. How many do you need to graduate? 7.5. Good. Hey, actually, I want to let you talk about EDPs. You do the talking. I'll get them up on the computer.
All right.
So we'll have, like we said, next week in their Spanish class, they'll start to put together their EDPs, which they can plan next year and further out if they want to. And they can always go back and change it. So nothing's set in stone, but it gives them the option to look ahead and plan out their next 4 years if they want to. So the website that we use and we'll go to next week with them and we'll show you right here is Career Cruising. And at our counseling website, onwardshepherd.weebly.com, you can go to this anytime. Next week we'll get you your username and password and get you in there, and you can show that's when you can show your parents. So up there under resources, if you scroll down, there's the Career Cruising, and you go there and it'll take you right to the webpage, which put in your student number and your SPS password. So it's nothing new you have to come up with. Very easy to do and easy to remember. And there, once you get in there, it's you choose your courses, your electives that you have, your core classes. It's all very easy, user-friendly, and again, you can go back and change it up until the point where we say lock it in, and from there we'll build your schedule for next year.
Now, you need to understand, when we build a master schedule in our high school, we base it on the number of students who sign up for each class. So if we get 60 students sign up for an elective course, we'll offer 2 sections of it. If we have 70 students sign up for a course, we have to make a decision. Do we run 2 sections that are really big? Or do we go 3 sections and they're really small? Now what happens, just so you're aware as parents, when you say, well, how come my son or daughter's in a class that's got 33 students in this one, 24 in this one? We have to make decisions based on what they sign up for. If 70 students sign up and we offer 3 sections, they're going to be pretty small. That means another section, that same period, is going to be pretty big. That's just the way the math works. The reason I'm telling you this, please think very carefully about the classes you sign up for, because it dictates what the master schedule looks like and what courses we offer to you students. If we only get 10 students sign up for a class, we may not be able to offer it. It's all student driven. Whatever you put in career cruising will dictate ultimately what courses we offer to you. So keep that in your mind, okay? Every year this is what happens. Students sign up, they do a great job. They get to April and I have 35 emails and phone calls to say I want to change everything. I'm like, we already built our master schedule. It's very difficult to accommodate students because it already has our section numbers determined. So just think through it. Talk to your parents about the classes you sign up for. Okay, you have a piece of paper in your hand. Looks something like this. Hopefully you will think through this and you will bring this next week to your Spanish class and you can use this as a master to help you in filling out your EDP. If you don't bring it, don't panic, we'll provide some more. But if you look at it, there are 2 columns in the black. One is an Algebra 1 path, one is a geometry path. That is determined by what course you're going to take next year. Okay? If you're in Algebra 1 this year, you'll take geometry. If you're in 8th grade math, you'll take algebra. And as you look down that algebra path, it has all of the core classes in it. How many elective classes can you choose? 4. Now, if you're a band or chorus student, you'll want to put that in there, and that's going to take up 3 of those 4 slots, because we have band and chorus all 3 trimesters. Okay? So that only leaves you 1 elective outside of that. Now, you got another decision. If you're a band student and you want to sneak in, say, Spanish 2, maybe it's best, in your best interest, to say marching band counts as your PE credit, and you can still fit in Spanish 2. There are options. If you're taking geometry next year, how many electives do you get? 5. Because geometry only goes 2 of the tries, where algebra, we've slowed it down a little bit so you get 3 tries to learn the material. Okay? On the right-hand side is a list of the electives that are offered to 9th graders. Our school offers more electives than that, but those are the typical 9th grade electives. Okay? So think through those in the next few days, talk to your parents, and circle some of those that you might want to take, and get ready for next week to put in career cruising. By the way, the pre-English 9, students don't get to choose that. We will look on their performance in 8th grade, and we feel like if there are some skills that are lacking, we'll automatically put you in the pre-English 9 to help you get your skills up before you take the regular English 9 class. And it's designed to help the students to achieve, and it's based on data. Okay, if you go to the onwardshepherd.weebly website, and you look under resources, the curriculum guide looks just like this. That's the cover. It will describe all the graduation requirements. It'll talk about top 10 honors. It'll have a description of every course we offer. I encourage you to look through it. It's pretty lengthy though. But look through it. If you have questions, give us a shout. We'll try to answer them. Homework. Mrs. G, would you like to talk about that, or you want me to? Okay. Mrs. G will talk to you a little bit just about the philosophy of homework.
Hi, I'm sorry I wasn't here when it started. I was meeting with some other parents, but I'm Carrie Gothier. I'm the assistant principal. And I do want to talk to you about homework just for a minute, because it means a little bit different things here at the high school. For example, tests become more important here at the high school. So they can range from 60 to 80% of a student's grade here at the high school, okay? Which means then that homework is weighted less. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't do it or that it's less important. It just means that it's weighted for a less amount of the grade. So what I want, in the frequency of it is not as often. But what I want to tell you is that it's the practice, okay? Homework is the practice for the test. So students, if you're not doing the practice to prepare for the test, then you're just not prepared, okay? Even though it's for a less amount of points, okay? It's important, but the points are not weighted as heavily, okay? So that's what I want you to understand. And then I want you to understand two words, because I just had this conversation with parents several times today. And there's two words that you need to know, is formative and summative, okay? And we use them a lot in the high school. Those formative are those homework assignments or those lesser points. And the summative are those assessments, those tests that are weighted for the 60 or the 80% of the student's grade, okay? So when you look in Power School, and I just want to encourage you to maybe check Power School 3-4 times a week, that you want to look on there and you want to see that on the side, is when something says it's a summative, those are the things that are weighted higher on your student's grade, okay? And those formative are less, okay? And even some homework is not going to be graded, and you're going to want to look for these little asterisks, and they're not going to be graded, but they want to show you that your student's doing them or completing these assignments, okay?
Right, just a quick mention is top 10 honors. Our school, like many other schools in the area, we use two indicators to determine academic eliteness. We use both their grade point average, counts for half of it, the other half is their SAT. Now they can retake the SAT as many times as they would like. There's no real advantage if somebody doesn't have the money to do that. They can come see me. I can give them a fee waiver so they can take the SAT again with no cost. So all students have access to multiple tests for the SAT. And the grade point average is important because it starts in your 9th grade year. So if you would like to compete for those honors and scholarships, you really want to focus next year to get your grades as high as you can get them, okay? Do what's best for you. Okay, if you're a B student, you do your best to get B's or higher, okay? Work hard at it. The formula is also in the curriculum guide if you want to look at it, but it's basically 50% based on each one. Okay, freshman and sophomore year, quick checklist. One is make sure you get off to a good start. 9th grade year is a transition year. Things are different. It's socially different. You have more independence. You can walk uptown for lunch, but you need to make some good decisions with that and think about that, okay? You have independence as far as no one's there holding your hand, taking you places. You have to be responsible for yourself, getting to class on time, getting your homework done, and preparing yourself to be successful, okay? If you have trouble with any of those, come see one of us counselors. We'll try to help you with strategies. The next thing to think about, when you complete your EDP, don't just take what you'd say the easiest classes you can find. Because ultimately it's about trying to prepare you for future success to find a career that you'll enjoy and you'll like doing for the rest of your life. So if you want to go into a science field, take science classes. You want to go into hands-on stuff, go to the Career Tech Center. Okay? Rigor, we call that rigor. Classes that mean something for your future. Okay? Make sure you're developing your study skills. While your 9th grade classes might be easy for you, guess what? As you go up each year, each level, it gets a little bit tougher. So you want to prepare yourself with your skills. In 9th grade, you will take what's called the PSAT. The P stands for practice. It's prepping you for the SAT down the road. Take that test serious. Do your very best on it, and it will give you information back for your strengths and areas you need to improve in. Now here's something I've done with my own son. I have a son, he took the PSAT 9 and the PSAT 10. He gets all of his scores back, and he can look at all the questions on it, and then he can go in and see what question what he put for an answer and why it's right and why it's wrong. And then it will even create quizzes for him to practice the problems he got wrong to better his skills. And some people say, well, I'm totally against standardized tests. Well, that might be the case. But you know what? That's what colleges use. And there is a direct correlation, statistically, to success in one and success in the other, whether we like it or not. So I'm having my son, whether he does it or not, I'm trying to force him to practice every day those questions. And they can do that through something called Khan Academy. You don't need to memorize that. When you get in high school, we're going to set you up with that account so you can help prepare yourself if it means something to you. Okay? So there's some real valuable information there. Make sure you get involved next year. You have extracurricular opportunities in sports and drama, band, chorus. Get involved in those things. We even have a, what's the robotics team? Fantastic. Do those things. And when it comes homecoming time, go to float building. Go have some fun with your peers. I mean, these are 4 years that you should really enjoy. Yeah, it's about academics, but have a good time with it too. So don't be shy with that. Another thing to think about, some of you are going to want scholarships down the road. One of the things they're going to look for is volunteer service. You can start doing some of that now in 9th grade. Like volunteer a couple hours at the Maple Syrup Festival serving pancakes. You go to church or 4-H, do something there where you can volunteer. It's a great way to get started, and that might pay dividends down the road. Sophomore year really is basically the same. Just keep pushing. Junior, senior year changes a little bit. Your junior year, you can start taking CTE classes. That means career technical education, welding, construction, nursing, cosmetology. Think about those down the road. We'll walk you through with more information on that as you get closer to your junior year. Your junior year is also an important year because that's when you take the official SAT test. It's free. You take it here at our school. When I was in school, we had to go up to CMU. We went into a room with about 200 other students, people coughing and noise and everything, and take the SAT. We had to pay for it. So the good news is it's free, and it's right here at our school with your peers. Dual enrollment. We have one of the most robust opportunities for dual enrollment in this area. There are schools over in the Flint area that are pretty extensive in that as well. We have what's called an early college, which means you could choose to stay at Shepherd School for 5 years, and in that time period earn both your diploma and potentially an associate's degree with very little or no cost to you. But you wouldn't get your diploma until after the 5th year. Okay? That's early college. We also have the opportunity for students to take dual enrollment classes, which are college courses for college credit. And you could take them during your 4 years, and you could take them right here on Shepherd campus and get college credit. There's one other option. That's called the Michigan Transfer Agreement, MTA. If you complete a certain set of courses through dual enrollment, up to 30 credits, you could earn what's called the transfer agreement, where you could go to any public college or university in our state, and they should accept it, and your first year of college is done. It basically would satisfy, for the most part, like the university program courses at Central Michigan University. And every college has their unique little set of liberal arts, and that would satisfy it. There's a couple exceptions. Michigan may or may not take it. I don't get to dictate that. They don't listen to me. Okay? Michigan State, for the most part, should, but that's still one of those bigger universities, and they got a lot of pull, so you might want to meet with an advisor there before you make that decision, and I'll try to guide you through that. By the way, if you fail a dual enrollment class, by law, that student and their family will be responsible to reimburse the school district for that amount that was paid for that course. So keep that in your mind. Our success rate here at Shepherd, 98.8%. And that's fantastic. That percentage of our students take college courses and they pass it successfully. That's phenomenal. And you know what? The ones that don't pass it, typically has nothing to do with their academic abilities. Something happened, they got caught up in life, and things just didn't go their way. So our students have the ability to do it and the opportunity to do it. Another thing to consider, anybody here think they might want to be a college athlete someday? Hey, you got some dreams, some of you out there, maybe. You don't know yet, but you got a shot at it. If you're going to do that, you have to go through the eligibility center, and that means you got to have good enough grades in your core classes, and you have to have a good enough ACT, or you won't be eligible. You have to do both of those two things. And then your junior year, you'll go through the eligibility center and complete an application. It costs like $70 or so. But it's the only way to be eligible for Division I or Division II college athletics. So your grades matter if you want to be an athlete. Mr. Paslakwa, you want to talk about parent role? You'll have better input than me.
Well, all right.
Put you on the spot.
Caught me off guard, but, you know, our staff hears it enough for me in terms of the triangle. It is extremely important that all three parties are involved. The school being one of them, the student, and then the parents and the guardians and, you know, whoever is at home to help. We need that communication, that assistance, that partnership. All three of us have to be on board. When that happens, that 98.8 success rate goes up. When one of those is broken or fractured, it's definitely a little bit more difficult for the success. You know, and like Mr. Ross kind of alluded to, life. Sometimes it gets in the way, and schooling isn't the #1 priority. But, you know, we are begging, please, get involved. Talk to these folks, you know, your son or daughter, about the importance of technology. Make sure they're aware, because we do a lot of communications via email. So even start chatting with your young son or daughter, you know, have them checking their email as a parent, you know, reminding them. We educate our kids, being the fact that we're one-to-one, we commit turn in a lot of work online. So getting them, and I know they can tell you how to run their video games. They can tell you how to set up the TV, set up the computer, but do laundry or those other things. If they can run a phone and those other things, I think they can run a laundry and a wash machine, right? No. But here, we're talking about school. You guys, I hope, take care of that part here, but also get involved in their life and talk to them about what's happening here. And if any issue arises where you feel a counselor needs to be involved or an administrator, please don't hesitate. Reach out to us. We may not guarantee that we can solve the problem, but we'll work with you to try to come to some type of compromise or remedy a situation that we may encounter. So it is extremely important. And you guys being here tonight, you realize that. So thank you. You know, I don't know exactly everything that's on the slide, but I do know the importance and the research that supports. When parents are involved, your son or daughter's success rate goes through the roof. So please, stay involved like you are, and we'll have a great partnership. Now I'm going to put Mr. Ross on the spot. Just kidding.
I'm going to have Ms. Gauthier mention something about NWEA. We're almost done here, so hang in there. One thing about scheduling. When you get your schedule in the summertime, and you look it over, please don't panic. Sometimes you'll look at it and you'll say, wait a minute, I didn't sign up for that class and it's in my schedule. That counselor just messed me all up. We will do our very best to get you the classes you signed up for, but sometimes, because of the puzzle pieces, it doesn't work. We will put you in a class that we think is good. All you have to do is sign up for Drop an Ad, come in and talk to us, and we'll put you in whatever class we can get you into. So don't panic if your schedule is not perfect. Just sign up to see us. We'll make some changes.
Okay, I do want to mention about, so for example, he talked about the pre-English 9 class, and he talked about the data. I want to tell you what that data piece is, because you guys all take NWEA, right? And I just want you to take that test seriously, because we use that score to place you in that pre-English 9 class. And if we do another, maybe a math intervention class, we may use your math scores. So when you take your NWEA test, you want to do the very best you can, okay? Don't just say, oh, this is another test. Because we use those scores, and we put you in a pre-English 9 class, because your language scores, when we look at that test, may tell us that you need some English intervention before you come up and take English in our world history class. Our world history class requires a lot of writing, and so does English. And if your language NWA score, your score is so low, then we feel that you're going to need our English 9 so we can help you get ready for those two classes, okay? So we look at those scores and we take the lowest, sometimes 40 kids. We did a couple years ago, we took 40 students because there was a lot of them who really needed this intervention, okay? So when you guys take your NWA scores, you need to take it seriously because we take these tests seriously and we take your scores seriously and we want to make sure you're ready for your classes. So when you take the tests, know that we're looking at this data and we're using it, okay? It's not just another test you take, but it's something that we're using to help you, okay?
This video will be on the website. We'll post it so you can go back and review it. If there are any parents or students who just couldn't make it tonight and they're talking to you, let them know, hey, go to onwardshepherd.weebly. The video will be there. The PowerPoint will be there. Or just give us a call or an email. Questions. Now, we'll stick around also for a while if you have one-on-one questions you'd like to ask, but any questions maybe for the benefit of all. Yes?
At what point do they start the college part of their curriculum?
That's a good question. At what point do students begin their dual enrollment if they'd like to? Basically, legally, they could do it as ninth graders. Most ninth graders really aren't quite ready to do that. Most of our students start in the 10th grade. And in the 10th grade, they'll take like psychology and or sociology and or speech class. And even if they only take one or two their sophomore year, they can be on track to get that transfer agreement before they graduate. Thank you. That's a good question. Yes?
Along that line, how do we know what's the best route for them to do? Whether it's dual enrolled, whether it's, the 5th year, what's the difference?
How do we decide what's best for that student in regards to the options with dual enrollment? That's something that really the parent and the student have to talk about. We will give you another dual enrollment meeting next year, your 9th grade year, in the springtime, okay? Right now, their 9th grade year, they're probably not going to be able to answer that question very well. So next year, near the end of the year, we will meet with you and we'll help discuss with you those options, and you'll be able to make a better decision at that point. And once these students are in the high school, they'll talk to other students and they'll feel it out. We get approximately, what would you say, 15 to 20 students doing the transfer agreement per graduating class. We would guess we'd have about a dozen students per graduating class that would choose the early college route. And we'll get 150 students at any one point in time taking college courses. It's phenomenal. It's really changed the culture of our high school. It really has. Yes?
I have a question. So if they do their early college, so it's 5 years, what does the 5th year look like for
Okay.
them? Or how is it before?
What does the 5th year look like if they choose to do the early college? Basically, they're a college student. They would basically go up to Mid-Michigan Community College for the day, take a full load, but they're going to meet with me once a month, and they're also going to work on a budget. It's a component we had to add in there, but it's pretty fundamental and good for life. But they're pretty much a college student.
And you don't decide until the beginning of your junior year.
Yeah, you have to make the determination if you want to do the early college, basically before count day of your junior year, so about September, during football season, early part of football season, cross season, you want to make that decision. Questions? I want to thank you for your time. Thank you for tolerating us speaking all this information to you. Don't expect you to memorize it. All the stuff's available online. Please don't hesitate to contact us. 8th graders, we're looking forward to seeing you. We've heard good things about you. Hold up your reputation, okay? Thank you very much. We'll see you.
Thank you guys for coming tonight. Travel safe.